to get a roll call. Beth, if you could help us out with that. Make sure we have a quorum, but Mahogany, sound off.
Vice Chairman James Firstel,
Present.
Commissioner Ben France, Commissioner Sam Ellis, Commissioner Cannon Fletcher, Commissioner Linda Smith, Commissioner Mike Bernardo, Commissioner Ron Barra, Commissioner Summer Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Shamia Woods,
Here.
Commissioner Quincy Grant,
Here, present.
Commissioner Quentin Whiteside,
Here.
Director Cappy Peck,
Here.
Director Andrea Lewis, City Attorney Beth Carpenter,
Here.
City Attorney Simone Black,
Here.
we have
Yep.
7 commissioners
good?
present out of 11.
Yes, 6 is a quorum, so if we have 7, there is a quorum present.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. We're going to entertain a motion for approval of the May minutes. Those are in your packet, so I will entertain that motion now if anyone would like to do that.
I'll second it.
Thank you so much. We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion or changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please speak into your mics.
Aye.
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 Sounds great. Any opposed? Okay, good. So the minutes are approved. We're going to now move to citizen communication, if we have any. Please approach the podium and introduce yourself in any order that you would like. And how much time? 3 minutes.
Fine. Is there like a timer? I'll get myself.
No, you're fine. Hey, listen, we're good.
I'm not attempting to take anywhere near over that, but just let me know if we are getting close.
I'll let you know.
Okay, I'll be looking at you. Hi, everyone. My name is Eva Woodward. Eva, like whatever. I'm a resident of Little Rock for the last 9 years, and I have no intentions of moving, and am here to share thoughts and offerings of support for the Reservoir Park restoration. I'm a resident and voting citizen in Ward 4, and I live on Alvin Lane, which means that my backyard directly becomes Reservoir Park. And prior to the tornado, Reservoir Park, my family and I used it 3 to 4 times a week. So I come as a person who was really affected by its loss and also is very invested in its future as well. Just to give a heads up, my prior experience kind of learning about the status of things is that I did attend the open community meeting for Reservoir Park that was held back in February or April, I think. And I also came to this commission meeting 2 months ago to understand how this process worked as well. And I've gotten to speak directly with Dr. Leland Couch and Commissioner Linda Smith about the process. So I'm here just representing my household views, not on behalf of all my neighbors, but some of my neighbors. And I want to share some thoughts, but also some offerings of support. So I know after talking with Director Couch last time, after the community meeting, which was 2 things happened there. One, Cromwell Architects presented a master plan for that was beautiful and extravagant and wonderful, and also not feasible financially. and then also to prioritize community input for some major things. And there were still some lingering questions that the Little Rock Parks and Rec Department had after that. And so my partner and I, who we have a two adult household, put our thoughts together on those specifics that are still remaining. So one is in general, like what would we want to be restored in the park? We have 2 young children, and we use the park a lot for activities for children. So that's a priority. A playground space. I mean, it saved us during the pandemic. Although there were some elements of the Cromwell plan that would not be ideal for children, such as open water spaces. You know, like the creek was always a fun, approachable thing, but it's also not like a huge safety hazard. So having some of those open water spaces is not ideal for parents of young children. And in fact, some of the play structures they proposed were so massive that, and I've been to these in other cities where I can't then see my children on the other side. So not that huge would be great. My family uses it a lot for walking. In fact, I'd say that's the #1 use in our neighborhood is for walking spaces. And right now, even before the tornado, there's a lot of bumpiness from trees and sidewalk disrepair. And so certainly it's not usable by members of my community that use a wheelchair or that have a cane, but it's even difficult for those of us who are able to use our legs for walking. And then we also agreed that we also like it to be an attraction for other people besides us. So we don't use the disc golf course, but people really enjoyed that. We did some tennis, but people come for basketball, and we want that to happen. And so we really support the idea of it opening up to the other side of Reservoir Road. I can't remember the name of that neighborhood, but that's something we supported. However, I will say some of the grandeur of this beautiful plan that Cromwell had proposed, I think would make Reservoir Park more of an attraction. And I have reservations about that as someone who it's my backyard. We already get like a lot of, noise pollution, if you will. And that's tolerable to me as is, but knowing other experiences, like for example, in Tulsa, Oklahoma with the Gathering Place, which is like an incredible park, it's almost like untenable for neighbors to be there, actually, for the people that live there. So there's kind of a balance there from my perspective. One other question was ideas for funding it. So I know one possibility has been a sales tax. My household and I would, at the very last option, vote for a sales tax. It's not our preference. And the reason is because it inequitably distributes the financing across income levels. So, what's $1 for each household has much more significant weight. So if you have middle class or higher earning households, if they're paying the same amount in sales tax they're being taxed the same equally. For households with much lower incomes, it's not actually equitable. And so that's not something we would readily support. We would support a combination of 3 other things. #1 is prefer to use the general fund reserves. So we took a look at the city's current documents on its website. So for fiscal year 2022, the city in their general fund had an excess of $6.8 million. That would be a great use of those funds. We also supported the idea of actually like setting up donations to Reservoir Park for people who then can donate at their ability and willingness. And that might be a more equitable way to finance it. And of course, also grants, which I realize then puts that burden more on the department to do that as well. And then lastly, there was the question of how to stay updated. How do we want community people to keep updating? And I will say that I think is one place where there could be a lot of progress. I know that our new marketing coordinator, Brittany, did an amazing job at the community meeting and has great social media presence. I took a look today just to check, and none of them have been about Reservoir Park, the social media posts. And actually, several of my neighbors said they signed up at the community meeting for emails and haven't received any contact. And so they're kind of in the dark as to what's happening. So I had some ideas over the last 2 months since I've seen you walking, because I still walk in Reservoir Park amidst the debris. And I had an idea about having posted signs at the entrances with a QR code that directs people to the Reservoir Park website where you could have regular updates, but also to say what you need from residents, such as, we need, please call this number if you report illegal dumping, which has been going on, et cetera. And then finally, a note on that process would be to create more ways, not only for community update, but also to help co-create and co-design these changes. So, the current methods for community or citizen engagement are important, and they really aren't there for co-creation or regular updates. So like at this meeting, this is really great that the public can be here. I know you all make every effort to have this on the agenda. And like, I work at a federal job, so I've had to take off. I have to take vacation time to come here and be at this meeting. It requires I have a car, or I could Skype in possibly. And then even the community meeting for the larger community input, I found out about that meeting like 45 minutes before it happened from a neighbor by chance who saw like a flyer in a church, but in no
Right.
way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We-
go
We
ahead.
just, we got to cut it.
Okay.
Okay. So wrap it up, please.
Thank you. So in order to have more community input, I've heard of like, maybe there's a subcommittee for that here, and it might be nice to elicit like calls for regular community participation, to have standing community members weighing in on that master plan. And I couldn't be one of those people, but I would absolutely volunteer to help you find someone or multiple someones
Thank you so much.
anytime. Should I
We
be
really
here for
appreciate it. And
questions?
I don't mean to be rude, but we've got a lot of business.
Absolutely. No,
Yep,
I
yep.
completely understand. Absolutely. And
Thank you for your input. We
Yes.
Appreciate it.
not knowing the 3-minute time, and thank you all for working with me on that.
You bet.
Should I be here for questions?
Are there any questions?
I just want to say real quick, your input is always valued here.
Thank you.
So we can always make a meeting for you to discuss these things in more detail. If you can't meet during 8 to 5, I can meet after those hours. So please reach out to me, and we'll try to do more to address your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a quick
May I
question.
say one thing?
Where do you go to the
Absolutely.
park?
Go ahead.
After I chew up my garlic bread. I'm Kathy Peck. I'm the
Yes.
ward director of
Yes.
Ward 4.
Thank you.
And I was at the meeting and also just had a conversation with Director Couch specifically about Reservoir. And unlike you, I am a proponent of the sales tax. I know it's regressive, but I like it because there's so much investment in parks
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I would mention is that we are looking at things to do immediately or in the very near future at Reservoir. Some of that work's already underway.
Right.
And maybe we just briefly share, very briefly, what we are doing.
Yeah.
Want to do that offline? I can visit with you afterward. If you want to, my cell phone is 551-1307.
Okay.
Because I just got an update from Leland and I can kind of tell you where we are. But we're making some progress. And
I can see it.
Yeah.
We go in there and we're like, oh, they've got the tennis wall up. Okay, they're doing some
Right.
structural thing on the baseball park.
And we're
which
looking
is
at the
great.
playground, the pavilion, cleaning up
Right.
some of the walkways, the debris. So it's going to take some time.
Absolutely.
But that is a park very near and dear to my heart, not just for a neighbor. And I don't know your house, but I know Alvin Lane and how it feeds in there.
Yeah.
But it's also it's a midtown park that lots of people loved.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I'm encouraged after visiting with Director Couch, and I'm happy to visit with you offline about that.
Thank you for that.
And thank you. Yeah, I grew up in Leawood, so I get it.
I know. Oh, it's got.
My
it's
best
got
friend
stuff
lived on Alvin
Oh, wow.
growing up, so I get it.
I would love to connect. Their parents might still be there.
Oh, I'm certain they are.
There was
So
one more
Any
question.
other citizen communication? Yep, we got another one.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Pruitt. I'm here with Nate Perry with the Walton Heights Candlewood Homeowners Association. Mahogany may have it. Oh, thank you so much. You rock. I wanted to update you on my meeting or update on what I discussed last month regarding a Southridge Terrace Garden Park in Walton Heights, currently on Parks and Recreation land. And the location, just as a reminder, is a hub, a hinge point between Connor Park and Two Rivers Parks. We discussed the potential of being able to tie those two parks in with a midpoint in our neighborhood. So I wanted to update some images. Director Couch and I were able to sit down last week and had a really productive meeting. He and I worked through these, we designed together. So I wanted to show you just where we're at in the design process, as we're also working as a neighborhood to fundraise to fund this park that would occur in our neighborhood. And Mahogany, if you want to roll through them, I can. So here's the survey we've had conducted by a certified surveyor showing where the park will be on the south side of Southridge. And then next will be images showing what we hope the park would look like. So you can see here, I'm calling it a Chutes and Ladders Park, our neighbors are, where it's meant for all generations. We're going to create multi-generational community through the use of these ADA accessible sidewalks, slides, bouldering, rock cities, picnic tables, and views ultimately of the south side of Highway 10. If you're familiar with the site, you have some beautiful views of sunset as well, given the right time of year. So here's an overview of the Chutes and Ladders idea. The thought process is we'd be able to have various generations playing at different terraces. As you move down the hill, you can get a little older, but here we just have a scheme where we've got a place for kids to play. And also in this image is a pollinator garden where we're going to attract generations to come understand educational purposes between what we can grow in Arkansas, how we can use those to build community, sit together. You're seeing benches there with the ability for elderly people to be able to do dips. We have a lot of walkers through our neighborhood, trails, bikers. So a place where you have bikers, hikers, trail runners, grandparents, kids, all coming together in one place. And the rest is really just eye candy to just show the ideas we're having. But it's not so much a playground as it is a park meant for all of Little Rock, particularly for the people who will be passing through the Connor Park to Two Rivers corridor. But we have begun fundraising. We have a Q&A pop-up on June 20th from 5 to 6, and you all are invited, where the neighbors, anyone interested can come and ask questions. We'll have hot dogs, definitely Coca-Cola Classics, and we will do our best to answer any questions and get a lot more input. We've had so much input from our neighbors already, which is why it's changed significantly, even what you're seeing now from what we had originally produced. It's designed to be in 2 phases, with phase 1 being the upper tier, just seeing how we fund it. And if finances are going well, if it goes really well, we'll go ahead and do phase 2. And if it goes great, we'll do phase 3 and 4, with the hope that one day we'll work together and get mountain biking and hiking all the way down to Connor Park. But that's our ideas for now, and support. Your support is awesome. Thank you for making our city wonderful. That's my Walton Heights agenda. My public servant agenda is thank you all for working on the sales tax. Man, I'd consider it an honor if we're able to support something that would change Little Rock and my kids for generations to come, to have such an impact on quality of life in Little Rock. And ultimately, that's why I live in this city. So y'all are a huge part of that. And I'm glad about half of the sales tax is going to this huge part in my life. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but go, Ryan, go for your vision. And it's 2 Ward 4 parks. You know, we only have, I think, 3, but you know, the work you've done is phenomenal. And I hate that I can't come on the 20th of the huge fundraiser I've done for 18 years for the Hunger Relief Alliance, but I'll be there in spirit. And I might have some other conversations offline about some fundraising options.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to commend you as well. Great job for stepping up and being a model citizen. And it looks cute, as I like to say.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Great job. Anything we can do to keep you people up on the hill without coming down and
Yeah.
creating more traffic on Highway 10?
Hey, now,
Right.
hey, those are my
It's the
constituents.
best kept secret. But man, yeah. But I could even say, like, for sure, like.
No,
have
it's
a
awesome.
spot,
This
yeah.
looks great.
Thank you.
This looks great. You've done an excellent job, and appreciate you, taking the time to do it.
Thank y'all for all your hard work and everything you do for our city. Appreciate you very much.
You bet.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Citizen communication. Nate, you want to say anything? Nope. Okay. All right. Cool. So Board of Director agenda items. Anything?
No, We are, we'll start on June 25th, really taking a hard look at the sales tax proposal.
Right.
And clarifying some things that were a little nebulous. Talked to Leland about some of these things that such a huge portion is going to parks. And hopefully, early this or middle of the summer, we'll have the votes to get this on the ballot.
Cool. All right, presentations, is this where you come up or?
Actually, yeah, so I'd like to cover director's report,
All right,
and staff reports and events, sales tax and board agenda items. So,
oh, yeah, sorry,
yeah.
I can't see
Cappy still gets a chance
anymore.
at the end to go through any feedback as well. But so y'all have always asked me to cover just the big general items for the board. Currently, so we went to the board obviously last night, presented a plan to request $800,000 of approval and funding to develop Western Hills. This is a long-going project where we have legacy grants. So it's each of these I'll just kind of brief, and if somebody has a question to know more, please stop me or ask me. The other one that we took to the board was Dunbar Roof. Dunbar Roof is for our community center. It's ARPA funds. We're trying to get rid of the funds that we received from the federal government. I'm very appreciative of having. And our roof at Dunbar Community Center is in great need of replacement. So that's that. Those are the two that are currently presented to the board on the agenda and will be voted on next week. So any discussion on those? And then for future, since we won't be here, as we've discussed this ongoing, we have a South Little Rock Southwest Community Center bid closing Thursday of this week. And we're expecting that to be roughly 750 to 850 round numbers again. And I'll be taking that to the board immediately for approval as well. That's for just general improvements with our ARPA funds. And we might, depending on where that comes in, we might have another package for our Dunbar roof, depending on cost, because we have essentially $2 million for improvements for our community centers. So that's why we're bringing a lot of that to the table. We have a few other ARPA projects, which would be our West Central Ball Field Complex. We're not quite finished on bidding that or doing any kind of state contracts, but that might be something else that gets thrown in there. Any questions on the agenda item? Sorry. Okay, seeing none, moving forward. So staff reports, and I'm sorry, did the citizens all leave? Okay, so I was going to use this opportunity. Great. If Justin, if you want to just give us a few minutes, we'll just act as though there was an actual question about Reservoir and tell us just briefly what everybody would see in Reservoir Park today, what we've, just 3 minutes or less.
Less, I can do less unless.
I'm timing.
Question. So, yeah, the work is going really well. It's actually good to see stuff kicked off. I know it was a little bit slow with getting some of the federal funds and getting our head around some of those plans. But the pavilion, I met on site with our contractor, and the pavilion is just about completed. They're there this week. I met the skid steer guy and the equipment operators all Monday, and they're there doing a lot of final grading and getting all that ready for seed and straw and to finish. Both around the tennis area, the pavilions, and then along the roads and just kind of the entrance to the park, kind of getting the final touch and the final grading on all that. So that's what you could see if you walked out there now. We're also in the process. The next tier and step is looking at the ball field area, the roadways, just so that that can be utilized and using the plans that Cromwell's done to take sections of that and actually start completing some of that, and also looking at the feasibility of the walking trail aspect of the plan. So just taking it one step at a time, but within the end of hopefully this week and next, those certain facilities should be fully back operational and cleaned up.
And the tennis courts, did you mention?
Yeah, the tennis courts are back, the fencing and all that. The only thing we're waiting on that is the replacement of the light pole, which was like a 3.5 month lead time on getting that. But all it's been ordered and we're just waiting, but the courts are back operational.
Okay, great. Thank you. Question from staff?
Can I just have a moment? Anyone that's on camera, just smile because I'm going to screenshot this real quick. Okay, good. Instead of these faces, so, you know, I figured I'd do that.
Thank you. Okay, so another section of I have on there is sales tax initiative. I also have that down in new business as the commissioners have requested. So I actually have a presentation under new business. So I'll save most of my comments for the sales tax initiative unless anybody just has a general question. But it'd be probably best to just cover all that under new business. So unless there's any other questions, that's my report for the month.
Thank you. All right, so unfinished business. So we've talked about this before in previous months. Subcommittees, currently we've got master plan, social media, Parks Conservancy, and is there another one? Yeah.
Master plan and vision.
Yeah. Okay. So what, and I'm sorry, Ben's not here, but what he and I would like for you guys to do, we're not going to talk about it today, but just start thinking about what subcommittee you would like to serve on. And next month, we'll go ahead and go through that process of getting people put where they need to be. But just start thinking about that, because what we're thinking about is requiring every commission member to be a part of a subcommittee. So just think about it, mull it over, and we'll talk about it when Ben gets back. Is that cool with you?
That's great. Thank you, JT.
You bet. All right. Sales tax.
Go up to the,
Oh.
Brittany, do you have the slides? Okay. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to go through our sales tax and give a kind of a detailed presentation on what I've been doing throughout all 7 wards over the last month in May. So previous meeting for the commission, we weren't to the point of all the presentations and all the graphics, and y'all had asked for a presentation. So today I want to take the opportunity to give a little bit more detailed presentation. I will say that the process that we're in today is that the mayor and other department directors that were involved in this, we all went and did 7 different ward meetings, and they answered a lot of questions, got a lot of great feedback. It was mostly all positive. And so now we're at the point where the mayor and the board are discussing it, and ultimately the board will finalize something hopefully, and it will be ready for a vote in November. And so I say all that to say that this is the big picture, and all this is still open for community input, suggestions, questions, all the above. It's not anywhere finalized. So our office and Brittany has created this graphic that everybody has. It's yellow, blue, and it's our logo colors. And so she did a great job in breaking it down into 3 buckets. And so if you just stop at the top, up there is the city parks, indoor and outdoor. And so I just want to go through this. I get a lot of these questions throughout the whole last month so city parks, what is this going to do for city parks that we currently have? So it's roughly it's $21.5 million proposed right now. That's 16.5 for just general improvements in any park, and $5 million for trails. So that's why I say that's in generally any park. And if you break it down, I was telling Cappy this earlier, if you break that down, if you take out all the other parks that are on this proposal, that we'll go through some of them in detail or in questions, that gives us roughly from 63 to, let's say, 50 parks. And out of those 50 parks, say a handful of those have been upgraded because of bond funds or something else. So now we get down to say 45 parks or something. What I'm trying to show you is that out of those 45 parks, there's $21 million that will infuse into those parks. If you divide that out, I think it roughly comes to 300,000 roughly per park. So when you talk to a general citizen in a general neighborhood park, and they say, well, what are we going to see here? We haven't made a list of every improvement we're going to do in every park, but the big picture is that this would influence or be able to impact each park roughly $300,000. And then that just varies based on what we're going to do in each park. Okay. But just wanted to make that really clear. And then in the project highlights in that section is Heineman and War Memorial Park. Heineman is, we've had a lot of discussion on that, but there's an outdoor recreation master plan. We actually have a master plan that McClellan developed previously. So it's there on your right in the darker green. War Memorial Park is, it was originally a location for 2 sport complexes, an indoor and outdoor. We listened to the public. We've removed both of those components and made it strictly all Central Park. I'm really excited about this concept. I was able to work with EDG, landscape architect firm here. They have a local presence here, and they worked with myself to develop this awesome concept. But all this is right now is just a real conversation starting piece for everybody to see the potential of War Memorial Park. So there is $14 million allocated for that park. So this is also an opportunity for me to describe the sales tax in terms of there's a 5/8 section, which is capital improvements, and a 3/8. And the 3/8 will go on. And so that 3/8 will actually give us funding for maintenance and operations. So if you look on the sheet that I think Linda passed out, it actually says 14 million for is in the 5/8 and $1 million for the 3/8. Why is that important, or why am I describing that so much? Is because that gives us actually $100,000 ongoing for War Memorial. So what does that do? That allows us to get a contractor or a staff or to make repairs always in War Memorial Park for our Central Park. So instead of having, that actually gives us a dedicated funding mechanism to keep our Central Park at a really higher standard. Okay. And you'll see that in all these. I've put money in terms of operation in almost every aspect. Neighborhood parks would be covered under the general improvement maintenance. There's $12.5 million in there. That's 1.2. That doubles our maintenance budget. So every time somebody complains about trash, mowing, anything like that, I've already told staff, I said, you know, if this goes through, there's no way we can say no anymore. We don't have enough money. We would really be able to step up our game and double our amount of work that we're covering right now in our parks. So really excited about that. I'll move on to the blue section, which is our indoor recreation facilities. So this is how we can really be impactful to our existing community centers. And I want to note that too, is that this is not all about just brand new shiny things. I've really worked hard with everybody to focus on our existing infrastructure. So this gives us over $11 million across 4 community centers. We have 5 altogether, but some of them are getting some funds, such as West Central will be getting some funds later. I'll show you that under outdoor recreation. But so that gives us a lot of new funds. So we realize that we need that money because when we did our ARPA projects, which we're currently doing right now, our ARPA is our federal projects. We went through the design and we looked at, let's just pick out one example, it would be Dunbar. So when we look at Dunbar Community Center, the consultants immediately said, wow, you need a new $1 million roof and you need a new $1 million air conditioning system. And then you really need $1 million to redo all the interiors because it hasn't been updated in 20 or 30 years. Okay, so if you recall me saying we have $2 million across the board for all of our community centers. So I just said we needed 3 at one of them. So this would allow us to pick out all those, and we're already ready to go to board because we have the construction drawings already completed. So I'm really excited to talk about how we can improve our community centers and make them better. Under the project highlights is the senior center, which is this facility. We've talked about it. We're in the middle of design right now, and I'll be bringing a package to the board for a $3 million expansion to this facility. It's shown here where there's a addition to the southern end of this building therapeutic pool, and a whole bunch of other great things. But and why I'm talking about it today is that in the sales tax, there's another $3 million, which would allow us to build out a commercial kitchen and really take this to the next level with the pickleball and everything else. The cost estimates that are coming in right now are really high, like everything is, and that's another big takeaway from these projects is how expensive everything is today. But we really need that additional money to be able to finish that project out all the way. Indoor tennis is the next section, which is over $8 million. It generates 8 indoor tennis courts. Our Resmond Tennis Facility currently is our #1 tournament facility. Believe it or not, we don't have any other facilities in the city of Little Rock that host major tournaments. This is just had a Little Rock Open, which is a statewide, top notch, brings people in all over the world to play tennis here. That's what we need to see here, and I'll cover that in our next section under sports complexes, which is our indoor sports complex. Our indoor sports complex is a 10-court proposed indoor basketball court for downtown. The location is still a moving target, but it's focused around the Clinton Foundation. There's some extra land down there from the city of Little Rock, as well as we'd have to find some other additional land to fully build out what we're looking at. And we have a couple options there, but very excited about this project. Sorry if I use the word excited too much, but it's just all these things are great. So this has a huge economic impact to the city, which is why this is so important. But it also, Monday through Thursday, would be fully open to all the users of this citizens to have all kinds of different great tournaments and leagues. Weekends too, but at the same time, we're going to be really wanting to host a lot of really big regional tournaments. So those are regional tournaments that our citizens can be a part of, but also really highly focused on bringing people in to spend their money here in downtown Little Rock or across the city. So this is an unbelievable facility as well. So then I'll move to the yellow, which is the outdoor recreation facilities. This focus on our existing infrastructure and trails, courts, and we're actually adding some more additional aquatic facilities. A lot of requests over the last month for aquatics. I'm sorry to say that we don't have a full aquatics program in this package, which would be some huge indoor facility, but we are adding a new pool to West Central Community Center, which would be an outdoor pool, and we're adding a therapeutic pool here as we're already in the process of that. And then also I'll just note Jim Daly is in its final throes of finishing the indoor pool there. So that'll be up and running. What's exciting in this area or project highlights is our West Central. I covered the pool there, but it's also building out our ball field complex. We have ARPA funds right now of $1 million, and we're about to go to bid on one field. So this money here would allow us to build out the rest of the ball fields at West Central, which is really important to me. This community center was built in 2016. The ball fields were built, I don't know, in the 50s or something like that. And they really need to be upgraded. I mean, they are so behind standard. So we're able to do one, but with this money, we'd be able to build the pool, restroom, concessions, and have a state-of-the-art facility from entry to exit. So that would be really, really great as well. Resmond Golf, we haven't talked about golf. Resmond Golf facility is in here at a large price tag of $10 million. We really want to upgrade our golf that we have for our citizens. We've removed 2. We can't say we didn't, but so Resmond Golf has really been utilized, and the numbers are some of the highest use numbers that we've ever had. And so our maintenance is reflected in that because we have so many rounds playing through it. So this money would be highly focused on a new pro shop, which is what's focused here, really playing into a driving range so we can play up on our driving range. So you could actually be able to drive balls right out of the back of the building down the driving range that's there today. And the pro shop that's there today is completely outdated. I mean, it's one of those things that it's really just needs to be torn down, but we did some upgrades in terms of carpet and stuff like that, but this would make a huge impact there. And then there's millions of dollars in there to go and improve all the holes on the course. So from drainage to cart paths to all the things that people talk about to me all the time. It also would allow us to infuse a lot of funding into our existing fleet that is for maintenance, where we really need some funds there to do that. And lastly is our outdoor sports complex, which is at a price tag of $60 million. It's situated for West Little Rock, or planned for West Little Rock, and it's 16 multi-purpose fields. This is very similar in a sales pitch of the indoor, as it generates this economic impact. The location is not defined at this time, but these are things that our citizens currently don't have. And so our citizens will have a quality place to go play, but also we would be able to drive tourism here. And the biggest other takeaway is the fact that this is not just for baseball or softball. This is for all different type of sports. So lacrosse, soccer, things that I don't even, maybe not even aware of, you can play. These are large fields. So one large field can play two ball fields end to end, temporary field fencing that comes out and moves around. A lot of opportunity here. It's also state of the art for this area of Arkansas, or really for the region, because it's all artificial turf too. So as soon as it rains, we're able to play. A lot of great things to talk about here as well. If you turn it back over to the back, there's a whole nother additional line items, and just to just keep my time frame in mind here, I'll save those unless somebody has a question about any of those, and I'll just open it up for quick questions right now.
Leland, those multi-purpose fields aren't big enough for soccer. I can just tell by looking at it.
Okay, thank you.
So we got to change that immediately. We're about to have a World Cup in the United States year and a half from now. We got to have more soccer fields.
And so,
I
JP,
mean, listen, I get it, but I'm telling you, man, like, little kids don't play golf. They play soccer. All right? So we got to do something about that. They play soccer. They play basketball. Football's great, but we've got high schools that have those fields.
These are soccer fields.
They're not big enough. They're not. So we've got to redesign that a little bit. But all in all, I think the vision is great. If we can make some tweaks.
Okay, thank you.
Leland, I have a quick question. Do we have an exact location yet in West Little Rock, or is that still in limbo a little bit?
We do not, and to be honest, Cappy, I'm a little hesitant just to talk about locations. I started conversations a little bit about some different areas that I found about the size of acreage that we needed, and immediately there were some, just a whole lot of questions from people, and we haven't been able to do our due diligence with the landowners of those areas, do any kind of studies, and so it's just really too early just to say, this is the area we're thinking about, and then somebody says, well, you haven't even talked to us. So I would hold that, but I'll be very transparent. We don't have an area that we've nailed down at all. So thank you.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, thank you.
Question, maybe a follow-up. Do you expect that you would have the acreage named by the time of the vote?
Yeah, so if this passes, my understanding is the goal would be is if this passes through the resolution period, so where the board is actually fully on board on everything and we understand that, we would go through a process to where we start to look at properties. We definitely believe that needs to be a part of the whole package and understanding that, but realistically, we're just waiting. Hopefully, our goal, I believe, is to finalize a big chunk of this in June to understand where we are, and making sure that everything is part of the package that is proposed by the mayor to the board, and then the board approves it, and then we can finalize that. So.
And
the
then,
same, excuse me, the same for the fields in East Little Rock, that the acreage, you said you had some, but there would be additional needed. Would that be confirmed and ready, identified before the vote?
I'm sorry, the East Little Rock?
Indoor facility?
The indoor facility in East.
Right, okay, so the indoor facility is actually proposed currently around the Clinton Foundation, but there are a ton of moving parts there. We've started discussions, and there was some previous discussions, and there's a lot of other ideas around the area, but there is not anything that's finalized. These are things that just take a lot of explanation, review, land acquisition, potentially, depending on what we need, utility aspects, easements and railroad. I mean, there's just a lot of different areas. We've had some good meetings on that. And so that, I mean, we're actually looking at different locations and concepts in that area. That's different from the West Little Rock one, right?
Right. And I just want to remind, I know we have a lot of new people on this Parks Commission, that a purchase and acquisition of land for parks is a key challenge and a key part of our mission for this commission, is to make sure we understand before land is purchased that we need to vote through that.
That's correct. This commission here approves all of our land acquisitions. If you recall, there was something here that went through about the Clinton Foundation a while back that this commission was very helpful on, any other land acquisition as well. So yes, good point. Thank you.
and then if the vote passes, what is the prioritization of how projects will roll out?
That's great. I don't know if that's really been defined. I will say in terms of some of these, for the indoor sports complex, there have been some questions like how fast do you see that up and running, right? I will say on that one, we're have the idea to actually hire a consultant to actually manage the whole facility. That's how a lot of these facilities are managed across the country. We want to consider that as well, is because the ones that we're considering are ones that have other facilities across the region. I mean, multiples of them. And so they just already have that recipe made of, okay, well, we have all these great tournaments here in Georgia or Texas or whatever. Now we have this brand new facility that we're managing in Little Rock. Let's look at how we can bring some of that together. That group also, the reason I brought that up is because that group also has discussed with us the possibility of helping us do the construction and the design of it. And so if we go down that road, then that you could see that come together a lot quicker. One challenge for just our office here for the department is that if you influx us with this much capital at one time, there will be, some things that we can do and some things that we can't. So sure, we'll have to go through a process of hiring some additional folks. That's factored into some of this, but we'll also have to work with some of our great local, professional service here and do some designs and construction. So I don't know that it directly answers your question, but I mean, they're all different. In previous ones, we did have to wait, previous sales tax, we did have to wait for some of the funds to actually accumulate, right? So this is actually a 10-year 5/8 sales tax. So what that means is it's not going to bring in all that funding all in the first year, right? So there will be some projects that we'll have to say, okay, well, how can we phase this out? Or how can we fund that, how can we preload this one and not that one? How can we go get short-term financing for this one and not? So there's a lot there. So good question though.
As a commissioner, how can we help with the sales tax? Is there anything that we can do, or do you have suggestions by listening to the community and all your talks that you've had?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So I do appreciate, I should have started off with this. I saw several of you come to some of the ward meetings and speak to or ask a question or give input. Truly appreciate that. There was some really great feedback in those meetings. So as we move forward, there's been a lot of people that have asked for even just myself or for the mayor or whoever to come and speak. I think if you have a neighborhood group or association, there's on the mayor's website, there's a button, I say a button, but there's some area you click and you can go and put in a request for one of us to come speak. I don't know if it will be all of us or just a group of us. Brittany might be able to pull that up to show the public. But what we were trying to do is make sure that everybody gets representation. So if there's a group and I had somebody call me this morning and they said, well, we want the parks director to come speak at our group. Okay, well, but if I'm there and somebody has a question about fire trucks, I can't answer that. So I need to make sure at least I bring the information, or if that's going to be one of your number one questions, I'll make sure I bring Chief Hubbard to come and speak, or however that works. So if you click on the link there, you can fill out all your information, and then they'll report back to you, and you can put in your time frame and what meeting that is. So I believe that's a great way to do that. I think lastly, the third thing would be for this commission is at some point, I would love for the commission to discuss supporting or somehow supporting this initiative and letting the board know that this commission supports or has other questions or wants more feedback or whatever y'all are thinking for the sales tax initiative.
Anyone else? So thank you, Leland, obviously.
Thank you.
So we have do I have this letter? Is that in the packet? Okay, so our chair, Ben France, drafted a letter in support of the sales tax initiative. Now, obviously, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of, blanks that need to be filled in, and we all get that. But I would like to open it up for discussion to see if you guys want to support him sending that letter to the board of directors.
Mr. Chair, has the letter been presented to each commissioner for review?
I thought it was. Okay. Well, then we're correct. We cannot do that. So next month, you will be presented with a letter that will kind of outline our thoughts on whether we want to support publicly the sales tax initiative. Hoping we'll do that. And other than that, I mean,
Could I make a couple comments?
Certainly
Beth, I
can.
think it's okay for individual park commissioners on their own to send a letter to the board, send a letter to your ward representative in support. I think that would be helpful. I still like the idea of a unified letter that everybody signs off on. But if you care about this, and another way, but speaking to groups, whether you have a HOA or POA, just put it out there, I'm supportive of this, this is why, I know we'll always get the comment that sales tax is regressive. Well, that's the only way the city can have funds to do things like this. It's the only way. And in the grand scheme of things, it's a penny. And from our experience, the three things that people can get behind are parks and public safety and potholes. And that's the majority of this with some economic development. So, I hope I'm not being overly optimistic, but, talk about it. I mean, if you're invested and you believe in it, talk about it as often as you can to any group. It's going to be a divisive election, and we don't want people to go to the polls and just immediately say sales tax, no thanks, and vote it down. We have a lot of work to do.
And Director Peck, what are some negative comments that you've heard that we could, we prepared for if people would kind of ask us some questions like that as board commissioners?
And I hope that these negatives are going to change from a negative to a positive after the board, take a deeper dive into this over the next few weeks. But some of the things that I'm hearing are, well, Leland addressed one, all these shiny new things, what about our existing parks that need maintenance? We know the answer to that. Or why do we care so much about downtown? We don't go downtown. Well, downtown's the heart of the city. Or, I want it all in infrastructure. Our roads suck. We need to focus everything on infrastructure. Or look at the firefighters. We're short all these apparatus. There's just all sorts of things. But I think the main thing is we want more detail. It's a little nebulous. The sports complexes came on at the end. People want to see the graphics. They want to know where they are. So I mean, it's just going to be those sort of conversations. And my goal, I would love for all 10 board members to get behind this. In reality, we probably won't get 10, but I think we could get 9, so that we could, not just the Parks Commission, but the whole board can be cheerleaders for this, because our city needs it. And Parks gets the biggest piece of the pie. So we should all be champions for this. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Director Peck. I'm on board, so I hope I'm not the one that you're.
No. I'm not looking at anybody in this room. Well, no.
I'm in. I just want, make a little change or two. But,
You want bigger soccer field.
that's what
Bigger.
hey, that's what I got to do, Yeah.
I just wanted to let everyone know. So you have the brochure. There's a couple QR codes there that you can check out. There's also a shortened URL, a bit.ly link that you can share that's a little bit easier. Everything I showed you and pulled up today is on the website. So if you go to littlerock.gov/parks, a big green graphic says Parks Powered Results, and that takes you to the page where I accessed all of those graphics.
Yeah, I need to go for that.
And Brittany, you are rocking it. You're doing a great job.
Okay, thank you. We do have one more business. I know we just hit one, but I just need to cover one quick item. I was going to give a report, but I'll just have staff do it, but I'll just cover it real quick so we can get out of here. It's on your agenda under new business is outdoor recreation grant. This is a matching 50-50 matching grant that we apply, or we try to apply every year. Right now, we have a program, a great program that we want to present to you. We just want to make sure that this commission supports this concept of us applying for the grant and the project that we're doing. So real quick, what the project is and the match is $250,000. So the city board always gives us the match for $250,000, so we can do a project up to $500,000. And if you can go through the outdoor rec, it's all online. It's from the state, is where the funds come from. And they actually give you a layout of what's really important and what they're looking for, which is outdoor recreation just a simple definition. It's all things outside. Super focus now on trails and anything that you can program that's outdoors. So what staff has come up with right now is currently we have a archery range down at Resman Golf Course on the east side or east end. It consists of some simple targets. Justin and his staff have come up with some great plans to develop that into a much more robust archery range for the citizens. For citizens to have a place like this to go in inner city is kind of a one-off. We've also worked with Justin has with Game and Fish, and they're working with us to match this grant and our funding. And so we're applying for improvements to our archery range greatly. So it's all about making it accessible, having more targets, having different target capability and different target locations, parking. But what's really exciting to me about this project is if you have no interest in archery, this is sits on the Arkansas River Trail and right adjacent to our Resman Golf Course. All of these in this area are lacking a restroom. So we also have plans to put a restroom in this one location. And it's so key because the restroom will provide for the users of the archery range. We'll provide for the Arkansas River Trail, which is huge, and provide for our Resman Golf Course, which is huge. We get a request all the time. Why aren't there more restrooms out here? So we've really knocked it out in terms of outdoor recreation, where we're improving things from the golf course to the Arkansas River Trail to an archery range. So if there's any quick questions or any detailed questions, Justin can answer some of them. But again, and this is for the commissioner's feedback and support. So thank you.
I move that we support the application for matching funds for the outdoor recreation grant for improvements in archery at Redmond Park.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Yeah, anytime you can get a matching grant, get it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So that's approved.
Hey, thank y'all.
You bet. So, agenda items for next meeting, anybody have anything pressing? We've got some other stuff to do, and, once Ben gets back, apologize for, being me, but, anyway, we got through it. Do you have any liaison feedback that you want to?
I just think for the next agenda, we need a sales tax initiative, because hopefully by then, that's July 10th, we will have the green light, hopefully, from the board.
Okay.
But I'm sure we'll need to continue the song and dance.
We'll get
I
it
think
done,
we need to
and
have that done. That should be on the agenda the rest of the year until.
For sure. And we'll get it done. And if it becomes an emergency, let Leland know, and we can maybe do something electronically.
No,
Nope.
sorry, Mr. Chair. We can have a special meeting. The open meetings laws do not allow us to have meetings through email means.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out.
But there is the ability to have a special meeting called, and we can look at the bylaws
Sure.
at some point to see how we do that.
Thank you. All right. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Now, run,
Yeah, go.
run, go pack, run.